Hi, fifth graders. Today we're going to be looking at our next lesson. We're looking at lesson 4. So our last couple of lessons, we were multiplying decimals times whole numbers. Today we're going to start looking at multiplying decimals times decimals. So we're starting on page 397. So make sure that you are either there if you have your math book with you, or looking at the pages on Canvas, or if you are just following along with paper, that is fine too. So just like we did with adding decimals, subtracting decimals, and multiplying decimals times whole numbers, we're going to start with using models. So we're going to find 3/10 times 7/10 using our models. So we're using that same 10 by 10 decimal grid that we've been using, but we're going to be shading a little bit differently today. So we're going to shade a rectangle that is 3/10 unit wide and 7/10 units long. So I'm going to use 2 different colors because that's helpful for me. So if that's helpful for you, I highly recommend it. So my 3/10 is going to be blue and my 7/10 is going to be yellow. So in my grid, I'm going to shade 3/10 going left to right. Remember, it's 3/10, so we're shading 3 whole rows. And then I'm going to shade 7/10 going up and down. Remember, this is 7 whole rows. We're looking at tenths. So once I've shaded in my 3/10 and my 7/10, then I'm going to look at the hundredths in the region that is shaded by both colors. So in this space right here where it looks kind of green, this space only, I'm going to look at how many hundredths are shaded in. And if I count all of those up, there are 21 hundredths in that shaded region. That shaded region represents the area of a rectangle whose length is 7/10 and the width is 3/10. So that means that 3/10 times 7/10 is not 21, but it's 21 hundredths. Remember that whatever number you put for how many hundredths, you have to turn it into decimal form. So if we look at number 1 and talk about it, it's asking how are the equations 3 times 7 equals 21 and 3/10 times 7/10 equals 21 hundredths similar, and how are they different? Well, obviously they're similar because they have all the same numbers, 3, 7, 21, 3, 7, 21. They're different because 3 times 7 and 3, 7, and 21 are all whole numbers. 3/10, 7/10, and 21 hundredths are parts of a number. And we're going to skip over number 2. So we're going to go to our next page. So we're on page 398 now. We're going to do another one together. So this time we're going to find 4/10, and again that's going to be blue, and 2 and 4/10 times 2 and 4/10, and that will be yellow. So we're going to use 3 10 by 10 models side by side to do this because we have to use more than one. So we're going to start by shading a rectangle that is 4/10 unit wide. So we're going to shade 4/10 all the way across all 3 models. Remember, using different colors can be very helpful for this as long as you're not using colors that are super, super dark. It's easier if you're using some lighter colors. And then we're going to shade another rectangle that is going to be 24 units long, 2 and 4/10 unit long. I forgot my decimal points. See, decimal points are very important. So that means that we're going to shade 2 entire hundredth grids And then we're going to shade 4/10 of the last 100th grid. And then just like before, we're going to count how many hundredths are shaded in both colors. This is why it can be very helpful to use lighter colors like green and blue, even lighter primary colors like green and blue that will make another color. So you can see very clearly what is being shaded twice. So we know that we have 2 and 4/10 shaded this way, but only 4/10 of it shaded this way. So that means that we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40 in each 100th grid. So that means we have 40, 80, plus 4, 8, 12, 16, which makes 96 hundredths. So that means that 4/10 times 2 and 4/10 equals not 96, 96 hundredths. And then it's asking you, and you can do this if you want to, if it helps you to count, to shade the same number into its own 100 grid. You don't have to do that. That can just be helpful for some people. So make sure that you're working through all of the problems. Shade when you can or when you need to. For 10 and 11, it wants you to shade the same amount in a separate 10 by 10 grid. Like I said, you do not have to do that. Now, if you are following along in your book, obviously you can shade right onto the pages. But if you are following along at home on just on blank paper, you can print out graph paper or use graph paper to show your grids, okay? Make sure that if you have any questions, you are sending me an email. I am more than happy to help with anything that you have questions on. Please, please, please let me know, okay? Everybody have a fantastic day.